have a different view about Nigeria from those living in Southeast Sani. Since the race for the presidency began in earnest, one major issue that has been a topic of debate in the country's political space is that of Nigeria's unity in the face of her regional and ethnic diversity. As expected, this topic has formed the backdrop for which the country's next leader will be elected, as some Nigerians have come out to insist that the only way to maintain the nation's unity and diversity will be to zone the presidency to a specific region. As it turns out, some people have found this dynamic to be myopic. For example, an hour ago, a former lawmaker who represented the Kaduna Central constituency at the 8th National Assembly, Senator Shehu Sani, has come out to share his perspective of how citizens view the country's unity from different regions. Taken to his Facebook page an hour ago, Senator Sani disclosed that the way an Igbo who had lived in the northern region of the country views Nigeria is quite different from that of the Igbos who have never lived anywhere else other than the southeast. Going further, the lawmaker opined that the same goes for the Hausa and Yoruba man as well. When you discuss with Igbos living in the north and Igbos living in the southeast, their views about Nigeria is different from each other. When you discuss with Hausas living in the southeast and Hausas living in the north, their views about Nigeria are different from each other. Nigeria is different from each other. Okay, when you discuss with Yorubas living in the north and Yorubas living in the southwest, their views about Nigeria is different from each other. But what specifically is different? I don't understand the statement. I really don't. What's the point? Because at the end of the day, if you don't know what specifically the differences are, it doesn't do anything. Because realistically, the only difference would be you are not in your own land, so whatever you do, you're always going to have to adapt to how the new environment is, especially for you that you're not indigenous to that land. So an Igbo in the northern area would run their businesses, would live their life as usual, but will always still understand that that is not their indigenous environment. They don't come from the north. So there's a level of acceptance that would never be there. Not that they should not be treated with fairness and equality. Absolutely, they should be, but they cannot. Yes, they can live. They can live there, be part of the culture, but they're not indigenous to the land. That is the point. And if that is the difference that you see, okay. But your point in trying to, because I feel like that argument is leaning towards the notion that obviously zoning is irrelevant and we should all be united, which is good, but that argument is not strong enough. It really isn't, because anybody living anywhere would have a different perspective if it's not your indigenous land. So a Yoruba person living in the southwest and a Yoruba person living in the southeast would obviously have different opinions, because one is in their indigenous land, the other isn't. There's a certain confidence and a certain right. That is why citizens of a country can have the audacity to say, "Excuse me, government, you're meant to do this." That is why citizens of other countries, when immigrants do come, not that it is justified that you treat immigrants very badly, but because they are citizens, as in they are indigenous to the land, and they have rights because they are from that land, because the government stands for them, they have a right to say, "Hello, outsider, what are you doing?" That is a natural thing that comes with people from the environment. And I guess you can say the same thing. Obviously, it doesn't mean that we should not tolerate one another. I'm not saying that. But come on, if you're from your land, if you're an Igbo person living in an Igbo state in the southeast or south, there is an audacity that you have, the confidence, because this is your land. So when an outsider comes and wants to move anyhow, you've got to remind them, "Hello, you can live here, you can, live like a human being, enjoy human rights, but you are not from this land." There's a, you know what I mean? So I think that argument, for me, it's not convincing enough, or it's not. If I was somebody who was very much for zoning, if I was somebody that was very much, it's the turn of the southeast, or very much, you know, um, very much for a region leading and zoning, I don't think Showtana's argument in this case would be strong enough for me personally. Because as much as we all want to be progressive, we have to take in mind and be mindful of what the general, the general norm or the general thinking pattern is. And as much as, we want to be forward thinking, we already have a very strong and solid culture of division, whereby yes, we can live together. But when it comes to where the power is and how it really relate to each other, we are very much strong about our differences, and we are not even trying anytime soon to integrate or find similarities. I think again, Nigerians obviously have pride as to where they're from, and I guess the uniting factor of being Nigerian is where we actually need to, set it again. Go back to the drawing board. Yes, we're different, but what makes us Nigerian? Because being Nigerian to other people in the world, other countries, they don't be like, oh, you're Igbo, Yoruba. If a Yoruba person does something outside, it's Nigerians that will take the blame. If it's fraud, if it's crime, um, in whatever it is, no one's gonna say actually you're Nigerian, but you are from the west, so I will differentiate you from what this person from the north or from the east did. So you know what? It doesn't work like that. And as Nigerians, we have that pride thing of working hard, of spending, of living lavish. We have that kind of thing. So the way we can have that general, not that again it's generalizations here, but I'm saying that thinking pattern that is embedded in our culture. Again, it goes back to our culture. What kind of culture are we bringing up? Because now, for example, with the whole, you can't convince someone to vote for anyone. But then if there's a culture, for example, of people selling their votes for 5,000 naira, we have to break that thinking pattern. It's a thinking pattern for you to think that your vote is not valued. It's a thinking pattern, and if that has been repetitive and has become a culture, then it's something we're going to have to intentionally break. Again, goes back to the mind. So, with the perspective of where you live and being Nigerian, your identity, it all goes back to the mind, because deep down, if you felt like you were one with the next person, then there shouldn't be issues like this. But that is not the case. And we cannot pretend and move forward and bring out our theories as if, you know, tribalism doesn't exist, as if religious sentiments don't exist. They're even well and strong, you know. These cause people not to get married to each other. These cause people not to go to the same church. These cause people to not even in the same religion have fights with one another. Let alone uniting in a bigger macro level. Come on, we have to start dealing with issues from the grassroots. That's what I think. So what do you think about this in the comment section below? And don't forget to like and subscribe.